We've known for a while now that Russell T Davies is more than likely to create some spin-offs of Doctor Who in his new era, but we've been left to wildly speculate what they might be. One of the forerunners of that speculation has had a bit more weight put behind it now, as reports surfaced in various publications yesterday that a unit spin-off is coming. But what might that look like? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Some ideas, some speculation about if a unit show does surface, if these BBC sources are correct, what might we see in a unit spin-off? Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel where I like to talk about all the geeky pop culture that I like and consume. Things like Red Dwarf, got a Red Dwarf podcast, do check it out. Things like Star Trek, things like Doctor Who. A lot of Doctor Who on this channel, so if you do like that, hit subscribe, hit the bell button for notifications, all that jazz. We're talking about the rumoured, supposedly confirmed by an inside source according to articles in the Daily Mirror and Deadline yesterday, but not officially confirmed in any statement by the BBC or Russell or anything like that. We're getting a unit spin-off, apparently. Take it with a pinch of salt for the moment, but that's what all the reports are saying. So let's take it as read that that is true, just for the sake of this video, just for the sake of our next bit of speculation, which is what that could entail. What would you like to see in a unit spin-off? Let me know in the comments below. But here are just a few of my thoughts about what we might get, what we might not get, what people might be hoping for that is likely, what people are hoping for that is less likely. Let's talk about it. So first of all, who's likely to be in the regular cast of this show? Well, I think there are two obvious options. We've got Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart. She is, of course, the current head of unit. She runs the organisation, so it makes sense for her to be involved. She's been involved in the show for the last 11 odd years, on and off. I think I read somewhere that she's been in 12 episodes in those 11 years. Which, you know, over 11 years doesn't sound like a massive amount, but she pops up fairly regularly. Of course, her most recent appearance was the last episode in Power of the Doctor, so she's been around quite recently. I think she would probably be interested in leading a brand new series. The next is, of course, Ingrid Oliver as Osgood. She is, how can you have she hasn't been in the last few episodes that Kate has been in, but she feels almost integral to the unit organisation as Kate does. It feels wrong not to have her there. Now, of course, we've got the whole Zygon situation with her. There are two of her. There's one of them's a Zygon, one of them's not. I can't remember what the current status of that is. Can't remember if the audios have done anything with it. We'll get onto the audios in a minute. But I think she's a pretty much shoo-in as long as the actress is available. As long as the actor's available, we're probably going to get her in it as well. So they're the two that I think are definite. In terms of other regular characters, I think we're probably more than likely going to get introduced to a whole load of new characters. There'll probably be a main cast, a recurring cast of around about 5, I would imagine. That is, that's what we had in Torchwood, that's what we had in Sarah Jane. That's a manageable number to deal with them all on giving them enough stories to work with, giving them enough character development. So I think probably the rest of them are more than likely to be new characters after Kate and Osgood. The possible exception to this is, I think they might bringing a character from the audio series. Let's talk about Big Finish. Now, Big Finish have a history of doing unit spin-offs that stretches quite far back. Even further back than before Kate's time as leader of units. We had these audios. There were 4 of them. They were released, I can't remember. Does it say on the back? No, doesn't say when they were released. But they were released a while ago, way before Kate got introduced in the new series as well. I'm not sure if these predate the new series coming on TV or not, but they have these. And then they have a whole range of audios that take place with Kate and Osgood as well, which start with this box set, Unit Extinction, which, as you can see from the box art, included the Autons. What will they draw from Big Finish? What will they ignore from Big Finish? Now, I think past experience has shown us that the TV show will never allow itself to be hampered by expanded media, in the sense that if they will never feel that they have to stick to the continuity of the expanded media, but it doesn't mean they won't in some instances. They won't feel they have to, but if it serves them and serves their story, they may well do. And that might include drawing on some of the expanded universe characters to bring in, not necessarily with all the history that comes with them from the show, but just as characters that they might want to utilise in some way. I think the most likely of this, if they're going to do it, is the character of Sam Bishop. You can see him on the front of this box set there. He's a character that has run throughout these box sets and is, I think, a fan favourite. He's certainly been memed a lot on the internet because of the pose that he almost always is in on Big Finish box art. Maybe, as a little aside, they could just get him to do that pose in the TV show as well. So I think if they're going to bring in anything from that, we may see a couple of auxiliary characters like Sam pop up. Maybe as regular characters, maybe in a one-off episode. And they don't have to necessarily reference all the history of what happened in the Big Finish audios, but just having that character there would be a really great way of just acknowledging the Big Finish audiences and those of us that have collected these sets. There will probably be contradictions to these sets. We just have to live with that. But where they can, I don't think they need to needlessly contradict it. If they can, just not mention it, or maybe even possibly drop in a few just cheeky references here and there to missions that took place in these box sets that will just be like any other reference to missions that weren't on TV that we get from Unit on the TV show to any other audience. But those of us that know, those of us that listen to the audios will know, and we will be pleased, and we will thank Russell T Davies for that nice bit of fan service. Subtle bit of fan service. Now, one name I have seen bandied around as a possible cast member is Freema Agyeman, who has, of course, in the continuity of the TV show, worked for Unit in the past, but then gone freelance to work with her husband, Mickey Smith, her new husband, Mickey Smith, the last time we saw her. So would she come back into it, possibly? I think, given the Freema's work in the US over the last few years, she's moved over there and worked in various TV shows, like, I think one was a hospital drama, playing a doctor again. Was that called Amsterdam or something? New Amsterdam? Something like that. I think she's less likely to be on board for coming on as a main character, but she may come along as a guest character occasionally. I would love her to be a main character. That would be great. I think, given the controversy surrounding Noel Clarke, I think let's have her divorced from Mickey off screen and we can just have her back in it, and we don't need to, a single line about her marriage not working out with Mickey is all you need, and then we can move on from it. And yeah, I think it would be good to see her. But what other guest cast could we have? We could have, potentially, Gwen Cooper. I don't think Torchwood is coming back anytime soon. Especially if they're doing this Unit series, the kind of stuff that Torchwood did is covered by this series, so it doesn't make sense for there to be a Torchwood series as well as a Unit series. However, some of the Torchwood characters could play a part in this Unit series. I don't envision Gwen joining Unit. I think their kind of modus operandi is very different. Their ways of working is very different. Gwen is now firmly embedded in the Torchwood way of doing things, which is very at odds with the Unit way of doing things. And I don't think that she would work well as a permanent member of Unit. We saw that in the Big Finish audio where Gwen and Martha team up. Martha is more of the Unit way of working. Gwen is the more haphazard, let's just say, kind of maverick Torchwood way of doing things, and they clashed in that audio, and I think you'd get that clash again. That clash could be quite interesting to explore in an episode, though. It would be great to see Gwen again. We could get her come in for an episode, a guest, and that would be really good. Talking of guest characters, the Power of the Doctor really set up nicely that Unit will be utilising previous companions of the Doctor that are on Earth. And that companion meeting at the end, Kate even says to them, I'll be giving you all a call.
I may want to recruit you for some work.
So she plans to utilise their expertise, their experience and stuff, so let's have them pop up in the show. Again, not as regular characters, as the occasional guest character. Maybe one a season we can have a Doctor Who old companion brought in and have an episode with them. That would be quite exciting. We could, have an episode with Joe, an episode with who else was there? With Mel. The possibilities are endless. I think Ace is the interesting one to bring in again, though, because I think there's possibility for an Ace spin-off, especially with her set up with her charity, A Charitable Earth. I think you could bring her in a couple of times as a kind of reoccurring guest in the first series of Unit, and then spin her off into her own spin-off show, A Charitable Earth. That would be quite interesting, I think. In terms of bad guys, I'd want to see quite a lot of original bad guys, but also utilising some of the classic ones, especially ones that are tied to Unit, things like the Nestine Consciousness, maybe things like the Axons, things that Unit had dealt with in the 70s, they'd be interesting to bring back, but maybe again, one a season, not like Sarah Jane did, utilised a Doctor Who villain. Sarah Jane Adventures utilised a Doctor Who villain about once a season. You had the Jadoon, the Slivine, there was another one, but I can't remember now, but they utilised them about once a season. I think something similar for the Unit series would be good. Build up their own threats, some kind of maybe conspiracy thing or ongoing plot line would be good, but also, we love a bit of fan service. Let's have them in a Doctor Who. Let's make this feel like a connected universe. Talking of connected universe, the final thing I'm going to mention is crossovers. Let's have this feel like a world that interacts with each other. And Russell did this very well with his last lot of series, where he had Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures come in for Journey's End of Doctor Who. But you could do it both ways. You could have, like I say, villains turning up, but also the fallout of Doctor Who adventures. This is something that kind of happened with Torchwood in Cyberwoman, where that was kind of the fallout of the Battle of Canary Wharf in Doctor Who, and Doomsday, the episode Doomsday. The events of that episode directly influenced the Torchwood episode, and they were kind of dealing with some of the fallout of that. Let's have more of that. If there's a present day episode where Unit are involved, or even if they're not involved, there's a present day episode of Doctor Who, you could have something where Unit are clearing up the mess afterwards and an adventure spins off out of that. That could be interesting. It's something that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in Marvel did in the first season quite a lot. And first season or two, in fact. And I think it's an interesting way of tying in the shows together. You can also, of course, have characters literally crossover. I think Kate and Osgood make sense to appear occasionally in Doctor Who. Maybe some of the supporting characters as well. And you could... I don't think so much the Doctor showing up in Unit, maybe once or twice over the whole run of the series, but I don't think he needs to be there every season. I think this show needs to, as much as I talk about using Doctor Who monsters, crossing over, using old companions, it does also need to stand on its own. It both needs to feel like it's part of the universe and connected, but also have its own identity. And so you need enough of the new stuff in there as well to really make it feel like that. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on this potential Unit spin-off. What are yours? What do you want to see? What do you think's likely? What do you think's not likely? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you soon for more Doctor Who videos. Goodbye.